I just put mine on, no.
Okay, this is gonna get here again.
Really good.
Red means they're off, blue means they're on.
Okay.
No, the out part is on, just these ones aren't.
Well, we'll switch speakers to the out.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
The L is on now.
Right, so I guess we have to speak a little louder when we're talking, so I think we'll go with that.
We do have a resolution.
Yeah, we need a mover and seconder, please.
Prince to you. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Roy and Councillor Trahan. That the Corporation of the Municipality of East Ferris financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024 be accepted as prepared and presented by Baker Tilly SNT LLP Municipal Auditors.
Any discussions? Favors read. Carried. Thank you for that. Committee reports, Public Works Infrastructure Committee. We don't, if anybody wants to talk about it, that's fine, but we have a meeting coming up on July 24th. Just that the guys are out there, well, they're doing some work here in the yard here right now, but they're going to be out there again, what they're usually doing, fixing potholes, fixing skimming and cleaning and whatever's going on. We don't seem to get normal rains anymore. We just seem to get downpours, and it's affecting the workload. So I feel for the people out there. Actually, I watched Facebook the other day, but we are out there. We'll be out there, and hopefully the warm season or the warm is going to come out, and the rain will stop and help us catch up. And we're looking at major projects coming up. I don't know if it'll be this year, be probably for next year, but again, we're out there, and we'll have a report by the next meeting for other issues. Any other comments for roads? Okay. See none. We'll go on to,
One thing,
yeah.
is there has been a lot of comments about recycling and the changes that are coming up, and that will be discussed at the Public Works meeting.
Exactly. I was going to talk about a couple of those issues coming up on the new business.
Oh,
Yeah. Emergency management program, none for this session. Fire and emergency services.
Give you a little bit of updates here. So we did send a crew down to Calvin to help out. They needed guys with the chains. So it's our fire department, a crew of 4 people down there to help out. They did a phenomenal job. Probably everybody came back. I think they put in about close to a full day job down there. Further, the fire truck, give you a little update on what's going on. Nick, so we ordered a truck through Battle Shield. The truck's on the production line, the chassis. So everything's been going really well. The chief's is very happy to deal with Battle Shield It's been an excellent venture so far. Mid-August, we have Big Moose Road that launch, which we have the dry hydrant going in at that time of August, if everything goes well, for timing with Public Works. And that's about it. We'll have a meeting probably in September.
Yeah. And again, thank you again. I was talking to Mayor Paquette today, and she said, make sure to thank people who come out and help, volunteers, and that she was greatly grateful. Planning Advisory Committee, nothing at the session. Committee of Adjustments.
There was 3 items that are listed there. I think 2 are pretty well self-explanatory. The third one was for 2 lots. And once again, Tulloch through numbered company went the extra mile and did an environmental study on the 400 acres in question. And with the respect to, they hired a biologist, environmental biologist, and the report was very favorable. They've got also test wells on the 4 corners, making sure there's adequate hydrologic. They've gone the extra mile. There's been no so far applications for additional houses going in, but when they do, they've reduced the number of probable lots that they're going to be asking for. That's not in writing, but that was verbal from Steve representing Tulloch Industries. The thing is, they realize that environmental impact is very important to all our residents, including our council. And they are leaving adequate room on the lots of the size. There's adequate room for the environment not to be unduly impacted. So I think they're being proactive, and I thank them as the chair. I thank them for their transparency and going the extra mile before the fact, if they're looking for a subdivision down the road. So and there was a question asked by the deputy mayor, actually, whether the young lady that gave the environmental report, whether she was an employee of Tulloch, and she's not. She works for a separate company, and she's a biologist in her own right. So there's no conflict of interest there. Anyway, it was unanimously voted on for the 2 lots, because there is just 2 lots for this application. But as I say, they went the extra mile. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just, it is important. That meeting was viewed 130 times, where usually it's like 10 to 30. So we are being watched. We need to be
definitely.
and we need to ask the questions. The woman who spoke at the meeting is hired by Tulloch, but so she was the one that answered my questions. The person who wrote the report is separate. I don't know if he paid for it. I didn't ask that question, but that is a separate report. So that the person, just to clarify that, the person at the meeting is an employee of Tulloch. The person who wrote the report is not an employee of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe you're both saying the same thing.
Yeah, I think I'm just clarifying.
Oh, that's good.
Biggest thing is you follow your official plan, you can't go wrong. So if they follow the official plan, it's not a non-issue.
So if you look at the environmental, that is a marsh that has significant wildlife on it. So, and the reports that we got at that meeting, we'll just have to watch it, right? Because you have to be very mindful of building on marshland because it's important. I've been researching marshlands and hydrogeological studies and also ground source water, and it's hard to predict. So marshlands are very important to maintain, our aquifers where we draw our water from. And so just important to ask the right questions.
Well, you're saying they didn't ask the right questions? You're assuming something.
I'm asking the right questions. The committee is asking questions.
Go ahead.
So they may Steve from Tulloch also mentioned that when they went over, they've been over the lot, the area on numerous occasions apparently. And there's some areas that there's just, it's not habitable. You're not gonna put a house in a marsh. You're gonna put it in maybe adjacent to a marsh, but not in the marsh itself. And they realize that. And that's why they've reduced the number of houses that they thought they would when they bought the acreage, from what I understand. They now have reduced number of houses that they're going to be looking for down the road. As I say, this was an application for 2 lots only,
Yeah, but
and they
then,
were both oversized lots.
yeah, I know what you're saying, but that'll get brought up at that time and then
Not a doubt, and we know there's a lot of,
studies have to be done and followed and guidelines have to be followed. So,
and that'll come to council, but the committee realizes the importance of the environment. And everyone, I think everybody's on the same page. Thank you.
okay, recreation, parks and culture.
Yeah, so we got a meeting, my first meeting is gonna be on July 15th. Also tomorrow, July 9th, we're the drop-in ball hockey is gonna be open to all ages at the arena. So that's between 2 and 4 p.m. So hopefully we get I'll probably be out there tomorrow and checking it out. And last time we did it, it was good success. We had probably, I don't know, 40 kids out there.
That's great.
So it was a lot of fun. So if you want to go and put a good sweat on, let's come on out to the arena and play some ball hockey.
Yeah, I got a couple. They asked if it's possible to get some get later in the evening too, for some of the people who work, they'd like to come out and play. I said, I don't know. I said, see how it goes tomorrow and go from there.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of last year and, or Jenna did a little bit of last year and it was good success. And so we'll try it again. And it was out on Facebook. Probably probably threw it out on Facebook. So I've been watching that. And people are engaging with a little bit of comments and thought it was, be a good idea. So we'll see how many youths we get out tomorrow and have a good game of ball hockey. So.
Okay, Greg's not here and we had talked about last week, what we're gonna bring up at the meeting with Ray Sabra and Karen Sabra.
Yeah, so we're going to look after that, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Canada Day was a nice event, cool and inside. And so people did have a nice time. There was a lot of Facebook posts saying that they appreciated having so thank you to the staff for organizing that. And then there was also through that committee that I believe they organized participation. Is that correct? So you said that the park was a success. You had about 50 people out. And then also 15.
yeah, I heard 50 there too.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah.
And then the tennis clinic that they had for kids was really successful.
Yeah, the tennis clinic was a huge success.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, it was lots. It was full.
yeah.
Now, did I miss something earlier? The YMCA using our beach for the whole summer for,
So in the past, we've had YMCA do swimming lessons for us at Big Moose.
yeah,
There was a couple of years where we didn't have swimming lessons because if they don't have the staff to fill their own needs, we don't have a swim program. So this year they have the staff to do it here, but also because their pool's closed for renovations for the summer.
Right.
So it actually worked in our favor. Whether they had the staff this year to come here or not, we've got a swim program at Big Moose.
yeah, because I've got 13 weeks. That's,
There's multiple programs, though, different age groups. So I believe there's 3 or 4 different swim programs. Bobbers is one program, gliders, I think is another one. There's around 3 or 4 of them.
yeah, like I didn't know nothing about it. I read on Facebook today.
One message which is good to get to the public because we've also got the YMCA camps. That's also available in East Ferris, right? The problem is in the past, the camps have not been as successful as we wish they would be. A bit of the concern we have from a staffing perspective is that, if people don't use them, you lose them. We would hate that the Y says there's just not enough take up and we don't have camps. Because what we're trying to do is have camps available in your own community, right?
And another,
Camps, the swim lessons.
well, the swim lessons. So what's huge on that too is, and we all know is, make it public. If there's somebody, a student out there that's looking for a job, take the course of being a lifeguard. That helps us out a large in our municipality. So if we can get certified people that are lifeguards, that helps us out large for the swim program.
That's how we operated our program before the Y. We used to hire lifeguards every summer, so you needed a certified lifeguard and then like a lifeguard assistant.
Yeah.
We even increased the pay rate because what was happening is they were going to work elsewhere because they worked the entire summer. We only had a shorter swim program. So they said, if we take the job in East Ferris, we're losing out on a job in North Bay for full-time for the summer. So then what we tried to do is other municipalities were having a hard time finding lifeguards. We jacked the rate up. It was $20 at that time an hour, which was a good rate. We still couldn't find anyone. So that's how the partnership with Y came about. We said, hey, you've got lifeguards, you need lifeguards all year round. Can you spare them to run a program here? That's kind of how it's been going. Now, we don't make money. They keep all registration fees, but the idea behind it is we've got a program in our community.
Service provided.
Yeah.
You remember, right, we even went to Canada College, University, get people in the program, trying to get them to come, and even with the grant money we got, we still couldn't get them. We had to close on 1 year because we didn't have anybody certified.
Yeah.
The 1 year, the one girl came back from the year before, she just happened to be on holidays and she come and done it, but it's hard to get somebody in the program. Yes.
So I wonder, because those programs, number one, they're, because I'm a lifeguard, my kids were all lifeguards, so they're expensive. You have to drive there, you have to have time. They are tough courses, like they're very tough courses. So I wonder if we have a scholarship program or something like that for somebody
I was
in.
gonna mention something, say, you know what, if we do get some applicants from East Ferris, then we, you know what, maybe we'll look at cost recovery for a course. I don't know,
Yeah.
we'll do something, you know,
Looked at-
the carrot out there, right?
It looked like, we even looked at co-op, you know, working. So we tried, you know, we're open to suggestions, obviously, but that's where we're at right now with the Y, so.
Let's do something advertised this winter, so then I don't know when the courses are or whatever the case may be, but.
I think it works well with the Y though. as-
Yeah.
You know, and I'll say.
Just saying, like, if say somebody from East Ferris was wanting to join the Y and take that program, I don't know if the Y certifies them through the course or not, but I'm just throwing in something there, like.
It's usually Red Cross, is it Red Cross at the, on my side?
Certified before they even get on.
Yeah.
And the tough part I find with the lifeguards is it's a short stint. They tend to be the age of
Yep.
high school and then they graduate, they go away.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 years.
Over kind of job, right? So,
But it's also like they're at the age, they're 16 to 19 where you get the prime, right? And do they have a car? So it'd be great to have somebody from East Ferris who
Yeah.
could bike to, anyways, I'm just.
Wait,
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for Parks and Rec, nothing else, okay, striking committee, nothing this time, board report, library board, none this session unless you got something, okay?
Just, I guess, lots of youth programming at the library, so drop-ins on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10:30 till 12. And that is for 5+. And then youth programming, there's a drop-in 10+. On Wednesday afternoons from 1:30 to 3. So library staff is busy.
All right, before I go to our, one of our delegations here, Shannon McCarthy,
hi Shannon.
East Ferris 2025 trade show review. We'll give you a second to get ready. 5.
Five,
Oh,
that's okay.
it's here at 5?
That's okay.
I'm so sorry, it's 6.
Well, I thought it was odd because Kim had the presentation today and then, so, but no, it's okay.
I'm
We just.
sorry.
It's okay, fine.
Glad you guys are still here then.
Did you wanna skip through the slides or you want me to do it for you, Shannon?
Skip through, yeah. Just the last thing of the night?
No.
Okay, I'll keep it quick anyways then.
Okay.
There you go. So yeah, just some things I'm going to cover really high level pretty quickly. I'll do some highlights of the 2025 event, some things that were new this year, and the different events that we had going on at the event itself. do a budget review and then compare that to 2024, talk about some of the event sponsors we had this year, the participating businesses, as well as the floor plan. And then at the end of the event, we do a vendor feedback survey. So I'll quickly go over those responses. So highlights of 2025. So it was the 10th anniversary. So we did tie that into the decor and into our advertisements and our publications that were going out. So we had the 10th anniversary balloons tied in. It was posted in our ads on the radio and all of our social media advertisements, as well as newspaper. In the lobby, we had our event programs and bags again. We had the survey this year to try and get some responses from community members attending, which was pretty well responded to. We had the grand prize that people could enter into, lots of decor. We had a photo booth this year, poster boards for sponsors, as well as the event timeline. We had approximately 1,300 community members attend, which I was under the impression was the biggest in a while. So that was exciting. In the arena itself, we hit a record number of participating businesses this year. So we were just shy of 70. We had to expand the floor plan to accommodate, and we were actually turning away some businesses this year, unfortunately, due to the floor plan. We did let them know that if there were cancellations, we would pull them in. But that's just an exciting thing to note as well. Also new this year in the curling club, we had the Artisans Way Market come, which was really well appreciated and really well attended. So that was a great addition as well. We had the magic show upstairs again, as well as the Reptile Adventure Camp come and do an hour-long demonstration. We did originally have Northern Bounce and a musician booked, but due to the weather, they had to cancel. But those were moved to next year and credited for next year as well. We had the youth trade show running this year at the school next door, and there were about 6 students who had their own booth set up. So that was great and also well attended. Then we had the Beaver Tails truck, Tickle Teals, and the balloon artists as well. So lots going on at the event this year. So looking at the budget, and I made a typo and I'll point that out now. So the electrical was actually 2,500, not 55. So that makes the total expenses actually 35,976, which then makes the deficit 17,947. So that's my typo and I'll point that out now. But yeah, total expenses was just shy of 36,000. Deficit was just shy of 18. Revenue was just above 18. And if we look at 2024 to just compare those, with that calculated difference, the difference in expenses is actually 7,589.78 cents. And then the difference in revenue is still the same. So we had some notably less sponsorship. Our revenue for booths was about the same this year, maybe a couple extra $100, but sponsorship was a bit lower this year. And if I'm going too fast or anyone has questions at any point, please interrupt me. So these are the event sponsors for this year, just looking at them at a high level. So we have the 4 different sponsorship levels: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. They all receive different benefits and are advertised in different ways. I will not go through the exhaustive list of local businesses that participated, but I just like to include it to give you a high level view of all the different groups we had this year. Like I said, we were just shy of 70. We had a lot of new businesses participating, which was really exciting. So I just like to throw this in as well. And then I just like to add in some photos of some of the different booths we had. So there were a lot of really great businesses participating this year. Degania, of course, with their span of groups there. This is what the floor plan looked like. So the additions were D4 and D5, as well as in between D17 and 18, we had Vic Fideli's little setup down there. And then we also added in Squeeze the Bay Lemonade up top by the entrance by A. No, it's all very small. So turning to the vendor feedback form, this is just an overview of what we ask in the feedback form. So it's not anonymous. We get them to provide their information. And I can go through each question as I show you the responses. So we had 13 total businesses responded, which was 23 of the total participating businesses and their names there. most people have attended, or most people that responded at least have attended the trade show in previous years. And everyone noted that the information and service was timely and helpful, and we're pleased with the venue. And then we received 100% yes for the booth space provided was adequate. The fee and amenities provided were met the needs of the vendors, and the check-in process the day before was well organized, as well as the morning of coming into the event. And then these last three, I feel the trade show was well advertised this year. We did have one or two individuals who marked no. Most people marked yes to be interested in participating again next year, only one person marking maybe. And then the payment options met my needs. Most people identified yes, one person voted no. I also have general comments, which I will not read through all of them. But the main takeaways from that is that the time change was really appreciated. So we moved from 9 to 3 to 9 to, or from 9 to 3 to 9 to 2 instead. So that was noted. We, I think, are going to plan for individual lunches next year. What was different this year is we delivered the lunches to their booths rather than them going to wait outside at the vendor as we did in 2024. We received some feedback about that. So shifted this year to deliver them. That was really appreciated, but I think next year we're going to try to do individual bagged lunches from parents. We'll be sending confirmation emails a bit earlier next year. Parking is always an issue at the venue, so that was noted quite a bit in some feedback. And maybe having some more road signs leading up to the event and maybe a bit earlier. So those are kind of the main takeaways from the comments.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Just one comment I'm going to make is it shows a deficit on there. The deficit is just under 18,000. But we budgeted 19, I believe, right?
We budgeted to lose 14 or 15,000.
It's a showcase for our municipality, a showcase for our businesses. So we knew we would be taking a loss, and but at the end of the day, it was well attended. Do you know what the numbers were? Like how many people were? And
It was approximately 1,300 community members who attended.
that was more than last year.
Yeah, I think last year it was under 1,000 or maybe just over, just under. Yeah.
So it's nice to see that people are attending. That's really good. And again, it was one of those days that it was good for
Yeah. A
the
little rainy, a little.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the table? Go ahead,
I
Mark.
guess there's less sponsorship, you know, why, what was going on there?
I don't. We made the same amount of calls. We were going in person. We were calling people. We were emailing people, all the same contacts that we were doing the year before. I know kind of as we get down to the wire, we do a bit of a handoff from me to Greg and Connor. So we did that again this year. And I don't know. We tried the same tactics as last year.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, there wasn't enough signs or because I noticed lots of signs, right? But some of them, you know, they're the size of the computer screen, so
Yeah.
it's a little.
Yeah, so we did 5 road signs this year, which was also a new addition, and we had them placed around East Ferris. We put them out the Sunday before the event. So I think people were saying they'd appreciate if it were out longer and maybe some along the highway. And I think they were either limiting the information that's on the lawn sign so that it's just, you know, East Ferris Trade Show this date and it's nice and big, or getting bigger signs that you can put a bit more so it's a bit more legible earlier.
Could we utilize the Park Hall board? There was something like that to put on as well?
I think you're right, because one thing I noticed even for Canada Day, I'm talking to people during the day before the movie started, and they said, well, I said, it's on Facebook. And they said, well, we don't look at
A
Facebook.
lot of people, yeah.
So how do you gotta track them some other way?
Yes.
Facebook doesn't always.
It's usually on our website as well.
But
Whereas
again,
people might say, well, I don't have internet.
yeah, if you track the other people that are traveling, especially start on Friday night, start putting the signs or.
You put the mail out.
Yeah, so this year for advertisement, we did radio, we did 2 newspaper ads, we did one in the Chamber of Commerce newsletter. We did 2 Canada Post mailouts. We did a save the date and then one the week before. And then we had it on the website as well, and the Facebook advertising sponsored post.
Quite a bit. Well, maybe that's why you got 1,300.
Yeah, we put a bit more into advertising this year.
I was just wondering what you did compared to last year, why the numbers are so high.
Yeah.
And last year, that was one issue. Yes, Terry?
Just two things. The one that cooperating,
Yeah, it started,
not a very nice day, it works.
yeah,
The only thing I thought was, because I talked to people, I went to the young entrepreneurs.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't know it was there.
yeah,
I was thinking just a small legend as you walk in, saying you were here and here's the different things you can go to.
yeah.
Not listing all the, obviously not all the books and stuff, but general, and especially the children, because a lot of people wanted to support them, didn't realize until after it was over that they were actually there.
Yeah, that was actually something we got in the comments as well from the vendor feedback survey. So we have, when you walk into the lobby, we have the schedule of events, but a lot of people were saying it'd be really helpful to have a map on that as well, just to show where everything's happening.
You go into a mall, it says you were here, and here's
Yeah,
things to see.
yeah. So I think that'd be great for next year.
Good
Thank
comment.
you.
Is this in the calendar that the municipality sends out or no?
Yeah.
It is? Okay. Okay.
No, that's it, I guess. No, thank you very much, and
Well, again, I'm so sorry I'm late.
that's all good.
At least I was speedy.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you so much.
It's a quick one tonight.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay. All right, we'll head on to OPP detachment. Last report that we had before was the wrong report, so this is there just for information, so unless, like I said, I wasn't at the meeting, I won't be till the next meeting, which is gonna be in September. And again, this is just for information, so unless somebody's been reading it, take a look at it, if there's something you want to take off it, just let me know now, otherwise it's just there for information. You'll speak to the annual report, okay?
So the annual report that was included is a new legislative requirement. And that is also in there for your information. Under the new legislation, the detachment board has to provide this report to council, but also to their ratepayers. So it will be publicly posted on our website under the area that we have the rest of the OPP detachment information. It's really just an overview of what the board, what the board was able to accomplish in the past year, which in this past year was a lot, given the fact that it is an entirely new act with new requirements. So that is there for your perusal.
Thank you. Any questions for Kim? Go ahead. If not, thank you, Kim. All right, the next item, C, Castle Home, DSAB Health Unit, North Bay Conservation Authority. Got one North Bay Parish Zone Health Unit, Board of Health minutes from April 23rd. I'm just wondering why they're so far back, because we've had a meeting since then. Are they that far back getting us meetings?
They don't post until they're approved. So we don't get their meetings until they're approved at the following month. So just the way this one worked out, it's April.
Okay. Any other questions for DSAB, Castle Home?
It's just the North Bay Conservation Authority. They had the Manawa River Race, canoe race, and it was a big success. And there's lots of different things going on. They have, and I was listening to the meeting, but I was traveling and going in and out of internet, so I didn't get a lot of the information. So I'll bring more information to the next.
That's fair.
Yeah.
DSAB?
Oh, we had the last meeting, then we meet again in September. So it's just ongoing, a couple of things coming up at, Rain Cameron. I'll discuss when we come over there. Other than that, they're making plans for the fall and cold weather that's coming because it's basically the opioid crisis and the homeless situation. And
Yeah.
hopefully everybody's hoping for an improvement and I think quite frankly, it's going to be legislated. It's going to be provincially or federally legislated, make a difference.
It's on Belleville today, how bad it is there. It's just gone right out of control.
They have a state of emergency, don't they?
Yeah. Well, gotta step up, something's gotta get done, can't be on the back of municipalities for sure.
No, it's getting beyond municipal control. And, I mean, and I know, there's a city in southern Ontario where they've actually enforced encampments, so put them into shelters. But that can only go on so long because it's a human rights issue. That's got to be decided federally and provincially. So as I say, it's out of municipal hands in some cases. Hopefully we never get to that stage here, but there's no guarantees. But if there's any changes or any meetings during the summer, I'll report back to council.
Okay. Any other further committees? Okay, thank you. 10, CEO verbal report for East Ferris Community Center roof.
Okay, so at our June 10th meeting, our Director of Community Services, Greg, had come forward with a recommendation of council on how to proceed with the arena roof based on tender that was publicly released. At the time, council had decided, so if we remember, there was bid A, B, and C, A being the curling rink, B being the dome, and C being the other south end side of the arena. Now, council had approved going ahead with just the curling rink side, which was $147,985. Once the project was awarded, the architect and contractor and that have attended the facility. We're on the roof. It's in worse shape than, I guess, or much worse shape than what we had initially thought. In preparing the tender, we were up on the roof early in the season, I guess I would say. Since then, I mean, we can notice quite a bit of damage. We've got little trees growing out of sections. We've got moss up there. We're gonna pull up some pictures just so you can see. In this, some of the seams where they join, you've got a collection of water that's being collected. A bit of our concern there is, is it collecting and then not releasing later on, or is it collecting gonna stay there? But like you had mentioned earlier, we tend to get the rainstorms. We didn't have them whenever we first initially went on the roof. Now we've been having them. There's a collection of water up there. We've got the two little trees like this growing out of there. I guess our concern is that if we only do the curling rink side, how long can we leave the rest of the roof for years to come when we've got this? And one of our concerns is that, do we have rot now that's gonna occur in there? If we don't address it, is it gonna get worse? The curling rink club, the Nosmonson Curling Club, as part of the renovations and grant money that they received, they're doing the ceiling inside the curling rink. So we would hate that money is put into that. We do the curling rink roof, but then the dome leaks inside the curling rink because that's where it joins, and we have further issues, right? And actually, good money has gone to bad. So I came to council because what we did is we approached the contractor who was awarded the base bid for the work, Fitzgerald. We asked them how much would it cost to do half the dome that leads to the curling rink side, so that at least that is done and we don't have the concern of water coming in the curling rink side. But then in discussion with Greg, our foreman had mentioned that on the south side of the arena, we do have a couple sections in the building that are leaking. So how long are we going to put it off? The feeling I have is now that we have this information, it's a priority to get the roof done. We budgeted 120,000 cash this year to put towards the roof. We know it's not enough to cover it because we have 148,000 for the contractor plus about 7,500 for architect. I'm thinking we're around 170 this year. We budgeted 120. So I had to find 50,000 to start off with. But when you start thinking about this, the bid prices that were put for tender, the roof in its entirety was $545,000. So if we're gonna do partial this year and I have to find 50,000 to add to our 120, but then I gotta do the rest of it next year, does it make sense to just say, okay, can we commit to doing the roof over 2 years? Because that changes how we would fund it. Also, Fitzgerald came forward and said, if you guarantee us the second half, we'll keep our price we tendered this year for next year. So what we'd be doing this year is the curling rink side plus half the dome. And then Fitzgerald will return next year and do the second half of the dome plus the south side, keeping the prices that were tendered this year. We wouldn't have to re-tender. We don't have to worry about, any tariffs or price increases. So that's why I've come tonight to talk to council. My thoughts right away is we have our 2024 financials presented tonight. I'll receive them within a day or two after they give me my final package. And the RBC is waiting on that for other financing, like the fire truck. So my thoughts is, do I proceed right now with RBC and say, hey, we also want to do a roof? It doesn't mean we need to borrow for the whole thing. We can net out what we borrow this year to the 120,000 that we already budgeted for and just borrow the difference. And then next year have the money to do the second half. But then in thinking of all that and talking to Greg, I said, well, NOHFC funded the interior roof of our arena. At the time, it was a $900,000 project. We borrowed 400,000, so we were funded for about $500,000. So my thoughts are, we could approach NOHFC and Trillium Foundation and try to get funding for the second half of the roof, knowing already with the prices, because Fitzgerald's going to keep the price till next year. So we have more options by taking a pause and saying, what do we really want to do? Because I think part of it was, if we do the curling rink side, when will we ever do the dome? Like, we hadn't discussed that it was happening next year or the year after, but now when looking at this, it just makes sense to proceed with the project.
The only two questions I have. The first one is, when we did the dome in the first place, what was the warranty on that?
When was the dome done?
That's what I'm asking.
I'd have to look back.
Yeah.
I don't think the dome was done in my time because I don't believe it was part of the 2009 rentals.
I remember it was changed. And then the other part of it is, like you just said, there's an option for grant money for next year. At least get
Yes.
this part done, sealed,
Yeah.
covered, and whatever the work they're doing in the curling club and whether work is on the roof right now, and get that cleared up, because it's bad. I didn't realize it was that bad until you showed
Yeah.
me the pictures.
Well,
And
so my question, I'll be honest.
Why didn't it get caught up when they did the,
Well, that was a question I had, is when the architect and everybody, there was a mandatory meeting for this. When everybody went to look at the roof, none of this was spoken about. I only really found this out about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks, just say, 2 weeks. And that's when I said to Greg that I would take it to council tonight because he wasn't here. But when I started seeing the pictures, I can understand a little treeling or like coming through in a few months. It doesn't take long, but rips and that seems to me that after winter, you would see something like
because
that.
all that would have to be cut out,
Yeah.
basically, and then cleaned and find out where it's coming from. That comes from underneath. It doesn't come from on top. So
Yeah.
how's it getting in there? So discussions.
Okay, let's break it down. So, and I agree with what you're saying. This style of roof, is this the way we want to go?
The membrane.
Yeah. I don't know too much about roofing. But with the question asked, when was this done? I remember it being done, but I don't ask me what year. Don't remember, but I remember it being done. I know I was at the fire service, but is this the way we want to go?
I don't know exactly when it was done, but I do know we had a choice. Either tear it down or repair it, because it was the inside out. And we thought it'd be about 2.5 to 3 million. And if I'm not mistaken, it could have been closer to 5. And we asked for grants and we received some grants for it. No one had any idea of the degree of decay that was in the roof itself. So, but as far as the roof goes, Steve, that I don't know. I don't know the year accurately, but I know it was some time ago. I remember the money because it was so huge. I mean, it was a big nut to crack back in the day. I mean, let's face it. So, but I know it came in about $1.5 million over what was estimated.
All I remember is that they're looking at a 15-year warranty, and it's probably past 50.
That's what I'm thinking.
Our big renovations we did in 2009, like we're at 15 years, right?
Exactly. So I quite frankly, in my opinion, I like Jason's theory. Let's get what we can get done now and look for grants if possible. And if not, then we've got a budget in front of us come late fall, early winter. And we put it in the budget because you got to take care of your house. It's that simple. And this is our recreational home. Let's face it.
Went through all this today, and that's.
The other thing is, they take this membrane off, is what other issues, you know, we lift the Band-Aid up. What other issues are there, right? That's the only,
There's no leaks inside, which is the good thing. Nothing's yet, but that's what we're.
hopefully we can capture that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to come off, right? And they got,
Yeah.
so they'll know that at that time. So again, that's in a valley. I think when I go funny feeling that valley sits, ice sits there and it doesn't come out. So maybe they can fix that issue if they're going to do the whole thing instead of stopping, do the whole thing complete.
Right.
As one, like not a seal.
No seal.
No seam right there.
Okay,
Because
okay.
that's the only reason it's sitting like
Let
that.
me-
But we'll have, there'll be a seam coming up the other side, but at least that part will be ripped out and taken out
Okay.
and done. So you follow?
Yeah. I find also breaking it over 2 years gives us,
An opportunity for grant applications.
that, but also if there is something else, we didn't commit to doing everything this year and all of a sudden at 550 becomes something else. We could say, okay, well, we know now,
Yeah,
we faced it, and next year we can kind of say, let's buffer it a little bit more.
Yeah.
My idea would be to go our RBC and say, we want a pre-approval on the entire project. And even if they want to disperse the funds. And then what happens is even if they've dispersed them to us, we keep it as an open loan. And if we get a grant next year, we just pay down the loan part of it or all of it, depending on how it plays out, right?
I like to see what the interest rates are. Well, I'd like to see what it's got to come out because we got road work to do. We've got other issues coming up and it's going to be big numbers. So I like your idea. That's my comment, but I like your idea of doing it that way.
It looks like it's been patched before.
Well, those are lifting things, right?
There are pictures, so, like you can see on the left-hand side, there's a couple, they seem to be patched. Like throughout, and that's at the seal. So I'm thinking there's been work done in the past. And I've been here on my 14th year. I've not recalled anybody going up there and doing patchwork. That's why I'm wondering how far this goes back.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So, because the only time we ever heard about the arena roof being an issue was snow loads, and that was Bill Bryant's report. And that's why we did the truss system inside and we started putting money to it to get rid of that issue. We had that roof shoveled for 2 winters in a row though. So was there damage done by contractors doing it? Like, I mean, some of the material.
That's what it looks like.
Well, yeah, but also some of that material becomes brittle over time with, right?
Well,
So if you give it a hit,
yeah, plus 30, minus 30, the differential that most countries don't have in their history, so.
I do know the architect when they tendered the project was going with a higher grade than what was there right now. Because the initial price that we had got before tendering was lower, and when we questioned, one of the items
Millimeters.
was, well, we changed the material into a higher grade. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'd rather not have issues for 20, 25 years than we cheaped out and have to replace a 50 inches, right?
Yeah.
So,
Actually, now you talk about it, we did have people up there. We had a problem with ice buildup.
We did.
And we had hired twice, I think we hired people to go up.
so,
So if they kept that continuous, we wouldn't have that issue.
well, that's something that we can talk to the architect and the contractor about. I mean, the work's not started, right?
Have these seen these pictures?
Yes.
Okay.
They're aware of the pictures. I got these from Greg, but this was, and I asked them the same thing, this was kind of like a post-tender process. They went up on the roof to look at it. The contractor was their architect, and then that's what came about.
So let's be sure then, because if they've looked at the numbers, they're going to carry the same number they gave us, make sure that they're going to make sure it's all clean.
Yeah, so just to let council know, like our, the dome part on it's almost 309,000, just say when it was initially tendered. So out of that work, I've got the figures here, we'd be looking at, on top of what we already approved them, we'd be doing 158,500 this year. And then 150,315 next year for the second half of the dome. Basically 309,000. The price doesn't change for the south side, which was C, because he held all the prices from the tender.
So is this the material we want to use? Part like.
Well, they upgraded the material. That's what they suggested. Yeah. All three of them actually priced the same way.
Yeah, everybody priced the same. Yeah. They do offer up in here in their notes on the quote that if we went to a lower grade, we'd save $8,500 on the membrane, and I really don't want to go there. You're starting to talk 8,500 on 310. it doesn't make sense to start cheaping out on the material, but they offered that up because they knew this is a bit of a surprise for us this year, right? But
Yeah, that was done in 2 stages. That's why it's the way it is.
It looks like it.
Again, I can't remember. It's mine just,
Parking lots right below it.
yeah,
You know, the parking lots right below, maybe it was the fact.
because it was shingles before.
Exactly.
so,
And then we redid all the woodwork inside, and that's when we ended up putting them on top.
Oh, well.
Can we look from the inside to see if there's any degradation or like,
Well, the,
is there any way of sort of assessing?
so when we
if
did
there's
the,
internal rot, like,
when we did the truss system, there was no issues inside. Like whatever, if there was anything, it was remediated inside. We didn't do exterior, which this is exterior, so. And we did, we're at about 4 years when we did the truss system,
oh, okay.
because it was a 5-year loan year and the term comes up in 2026. So we're at about 4 years, I would say.
because you can look inside, like inside the arena, look up, it's just wood. There's nothing, and there's no gap in between. Basically,
On the door side.
3/4 inch plywood that goes over the whole roof. So if there was rot inside, it'd be leaking inside. And that you don't want.
Did you not say there was leakage?
There is on the south side one spot that they said that was leaking, which was funny because I only heard about the leak after all of this, and that's well, how long has it been going on for? They're gonna give me an answer, but
Well, it's like
it
eave-
doesn't, what's that,
it's like
from the
eave-
exterior?
it's like eave trough on the outside of the back,
Yeah,
going on for a while. Anyway. no.
So can you talk to Trillium and NOHC, sorry?
yes, so what we'll
To
do,
see if there is funding, and then if there's not, then we go ahead and just.
so there's programs available. It's whether the board approves our project, because I know it's electrical. Because we did the roof system with NHFC inside. So if they weren't in the business of doing roofs, they wouldn't have done the truss system. But my thoughts were is now that we know we're going into 2026, maybe we put an application for that facility that's more than, like maybe we do our half roof in that. And then maybe there's something else that needs to be done there, a more fulsome application through and get a few things dealt with, right? So. If,
And if that one benefit would be it's a multi-use facility year round.
so.
Anyway,
That facility, we haven't been told no too often on funding applications, and you bring up a good point. There's so many variety of user groups that use that. You've got recreation on its own, but you've got the early years program. And you've now got the pantry, like the food pantry that's in there. You got YMCA camps that happen now. You've got the school that comes and uses the facility. You've got the library that uses. So when we put the story forward for funding apps, there's a lot to pack in there. Correct, right? And then you host hockey tournaments, but you've got carnival that happens. So there's such a story around that it's what the government's really looking for to fund is these multi-use facilities.
And again, like I said, last year, we were a little late getting going, but the Hockeyville's coming up again, so we're gonna apply for that even, so.
Okay. The resolution now, Kim, did you draft something or do you want me to do it? Yep. Okay, so that council for the corporation of the municipality of East Ferris approves staff, sorry, give me a second. Approves moving ahead with the arena roof project in its entirety. And that, over the 2025-2026 year. And that J.G. Fitzgerald and Sons Limited be awarded the roof project
Phase 1,
in the,
pardon me, phase 1.
let's just group the entire total, 545,205. And then over a 2-year process. I can reword it if we have to.
Okay, you got the 2 years,
Yeah.
I see. Always something that comes up. Yeah.
This is what I have, that council for the municipality of East Ferris approves moving forward with the arena roof project in its entirety over the 2025-2026 years, and further that J.G. Fitzgerald be awarded the project in the amount of $545,205. SHST.
So just for the record, all three people that bid, all three items were all higher than Fitzgerald.
Correct.
Even if they went with the full roof, half roof.
Yep.
Or contingencies, they were still the lowest of them all.
Yeah,
Nothing changed.
Yeah, what we have to watch when we tender is now that we've gone in a different direction, we have to look back at the figures to see that if you add up all three, what if another contractor is now cheaper than Fitzgerald because their A bid was the highest, you know? So when we look at it, Fitzgerald was the cheapest on A, B, and C, every element. So they end up with a total that's the lowest.
Okay, need a mover in a second. Sure.
Counselor Kelly and Counselor Brazel.
You've already done it. Okay, so any other discussions? Favors read. Very good. Thank you. We go from good news to bad news. No motions, nothing. Discussion daycare. Am I missing something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there. Hang on, I'll pick that.
Okay.
Correspondence. For tonight, I'll.
Got a bylaws.
Oh, I see that. Why did I mark it off already? Okay, no problem.
They get a mover and a seconder to table the motion, Counselor Trahan and Counselor Kelly. Whereas counsel for the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-60 as amended for Kearns on Blanche Road for the purpose of rezoning the property to a rural zone from the existing conservation zone be read a first, second, and third time, pass the number 2025-36, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Okay, who's got a discussion in this motion?
For the zoning?
Yeah.
If you want to have a discussion, but it's a product of a decision that was made at a past council meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and what my understanding is that it was all conservation land, and their property was included in that. After reviewing it, they should have been included in there. They're able to build. So that's what the rezoning was, to bring it from conservation to residential.
Rezoning went to yourself, okay?
Yeah. It was a decision that was already,
Okay, no, I just want to make sure.
yeah.
Usually Greg is here, so. Okay.
There is a map with the that's attached. If you go to the map, you're gonna see the carve out of the property versus, it's a colored map. Versus what conservation is.
Resolution was passed by council already. We just didn't have the bylaw prepared.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any other discussion on the motion? Papers read, carried, thank you. We're gonna go to correspondence, like I was talking earlier. I'm gonna start with Deputy Mayor. I'm just wondering if it might be easier for council, because you do have a lot of them, which is fine. But just wondering if we're down the road, you can turn around and say 1, 1, 1, 1, then go back to yourself. That way everybody has an opportunity to bring up their. So I don't know if it's a bylaw that we have. I don't know if it's how it works.
Well, we checked the procedural bylaw and there's nothing dictating how it went. So it's up to council, yeah.
No, not to put all the onus on yourself. Maybe it's a chance for everybody else to have a discussion. So we'll keep it the way it was, and then next time,
We reverse it. So Nick gets a chance to say first.
sure, if everybody feels.
We go to Terry. I'm okay. I don't need to be first.
No, when it was brought up, then we were saying, okay, I know that sometimes the deputy mayor will say, okay, well, I've got a few, so I'll just do a couple and leave you
Yeah,
guys.
I don't.
So we thought, well, if we go around the table and everyone takes one shot,
Yeah.
then afterwards, leave it open. If somebody has multiple items, go right ahead.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Yeah, we get around to
Or start with, yeah.
go ahead, Deputy.
What do you got?
So I guess I find, so we'll do the advocacy for increasing income support for threshold for Canadian veterans.
Okay.
Kind of related to E as well, because it's hard making a living and making ends meet.
I didn't pull that one aside, Deputy Mayor, if you want to speak on it.
So they want to increase the benefit. So therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Bradford West Gwillimbury, don't know if I'm saying that right, formally calls on the government of Canada and all federal parties to increase the eligibility threshold for the income replacement benefit program from 20,000 to no less than 40,000 annually for a single person household.
Right. So Betsy, that's federal, right? I don't see an issue with it. And somebody else? Okay. Next item we'll bring up for, yeah.
We want to table the motion first.
Oh, we table him up? Sure.
Move for a second, please. Right, Cruz?
Sure.
Councilor Brazel. That the Council of the Municipality of East Ferris supports the town of Bradford West Gwillimbury in their call on the Government of Canada and all federal parties to increase the eligibility threshold for the income replacement benefit program from 20,000 to no less than 40,000 annually for a single person household. And that council urges Veterans Affairs Canada to review all income support programs with the intent to modernize eligibility criteria in line with the current cost of living across Canada. And further, that this motion be forwarded to the Right Honorable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Jill McKnight, Minister of Veterans Affairs, and the Honorable Pauline Rochford.
You're all of a sudden. Any other discussion? Motion? Favors read? Carried. Councilor Tran.
Good, thanks.
Good. Councilor,
I got B. Black River.
Okay.
Marshall, defer full implementation of the certification graduation for rural northern municipalities. Exemptions or alternative compliance pathways tailored to the needs and limitations of small remote fire services and increased funding and training supports for municipalities outside major urban centers. It's one that, once again, they're painting all of Ontario with the same brush. There's a lot, from what I'm understanding from Phenom meetings, there's a number of small municipalities that heck of a time getting certification. One, there's a shortage of trainers. Two, they've got to travel and there's no compensation for travel. And it's getting costly. And unfortunately, there's some small municipalities that are saying, you know what? No one's volunteering. Our volunteers are getting older. They're not able to do whatever. It's becoming an issue.
and so our volunteers are pretty well certified, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'll talk to that. Out of all of the three things that they've asking for, the only thing that we would really benefit out of this one would be number 3. Our firefighters right now, there's 3 left to get certified 1, and that should be done by this year. And then there's 1 person to get the certified, and that should be completed in early 2026. So our fire service, we're past this. We're past this. This year, so this place here, I think the population is like 2,500. So I don't know if the governments are going to bracket population wise to say, you know what, this is what you can do, or where you're going to be grandfather clause, or you're going to, you have a an exemption for certification. I don't know. That's still up in the air and that's still what the chiefs are still debating right now.
But are they looking for support though for?
But they're looking for support.
They're looking for support for, it says,
It's when, what it's gonna come down to, and what I was getting at is
Yep.
these smaller places here are gonna crumble. And it's gonna becoming like a huge mutual aid group for fire departments. Like this place here. So we don't know what kind of services that council had, they'll put out for them. Maybe it's exterior only. Maybe it's, you know what I mean? So
yes,
compared to what we ask our fire service to be certified in and what they can do and can't do. So there's a lot of things in play with a lot of balls up in the air. There's, you know what I mean? So if you can't afford it, then you don't do it. You know what I mean? So it's like the water ice cube rescue, you know, we're not doing it. So, but there's a lot of different components here that comes into play. So for us, we're superseding this.
really good.
But for smaller townships, even for the smaller townships around us,
Yes.
there's a problem. There's a
Okay.
problem.
Okay, so we're looking at supporting it.
I'm just looking for
Yeah, absolutely.
So Councillor Kelly and Deputy Mayor first.
Any other discussion on the motion? No? Favors read? There. Thank you. Nick?
Number 8, Jeff Miller was looking for a donation towards the Voyager bike race. I don't know if this is predetermined, like, because you guys already did the budget beforehand, if it would fall in that, or if there's money aside where we could do that. He's also.
Gave $500 last year, I believe.
That we do.
Yeah.
That's 2 every year in a row.
on the map.
2 years council decision was they were, we were giving them $500, but they were renting a Coral Park Hall. So what we did was we gave them the hall for free and subtracted off 500, so the check difference was 300 and some. The hall rental was just say almost 200. And then last year they didn't need the hall and we gave them $500 check.
They're situated out of Four Seasons.
Right, they're gonna do the Four Seasons Club.
Yep. So we've had a couple races in our municipality. It's pretty well attended. It's
Yeah.
something to see. So do we need a motion, please? Over in a seconder?
Moved by Councillor Whitson. Whereas the Voyager 200 gravel bike race is returning to the municipality of East Ferris on Saturday, August 16th, 2025 as a charity cycling event in support of the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation. And whereas the event has already raised $8,000 in support of patients undergoing rehabilitation from heart, health, and stroke-related conditions, including aphasia. And whereas the race is organized by local volunteers in partnership with Discovery Routes and offers a unique cycling experience through East Ferris and surrounding areas, promoting health, tourism, and community spirit. And whereas the organizers have requested financial support of $500 to assist with event-related expenses, such as hall rentals, catering, permit fees, safety planning, temporary signage, and assistance with traffic control. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of East Ferris hereby supports the Voyager 200 gravel bike race and approves a donation in the amount of $500 towards the 2025 event.
Any discussions on the motion?
I just want to add on, like, Nick, I spoke with the organizer for the last couple of years on this here, as well as a member of the staff here too. This year, and why they keep coming back on this race to this area, they actually love our area and our roads for this race. This is actually one of the favorites, of say loop or race that they do for the racers around here. It's very well organized, attended to. OPP is involved. It's laid out well. Actually, they had quite a bit of people watching it off our roads, and I can foresee that this is going to be almost an annual thing here for the first little bit. But this is why this is coming here, and they really enjoy it.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Favors read, carried. The one I have is Municipality of Tweed, Blue Box Producers. Yeah, here's an issue that we're gonna have, like, I see coming down the pipe. We've got all the new bins coming in, so-called. What's gonna happen with all these blue boxes? And they're changing the, they want to change the,
I got some pretty good uses out of mine
yeah,
for
that's what's
other things.
gonna happen, right?
So, sorry, but yeah, I'll keep mine because I have some other uses for it.
But if people want to put them on, they put recycling, how do you put them into another box?
It's a much bigger box,
Yeah, exactly.
so you can put the small one in the big one.
And all the ones that we have to buy. I go, well, you know what, let's change. I agree with this. I just wanted to support it, but I want to talk about the blue boxes under in a different agenda we have later on talking about recycling.
And this,
Yep,
this was about the producers being responsible for the end product, and they're already doing that through circular waste, right?
And from all sources.
Right.
So if you can recall, when Antoine first came to council, residents are okay, but commercial, like, you know, our grocery store and stuff, the commercial ones have to deal separately with GFL. It's not part of regular collection, same as municipal facilities and institutions, right? You gotta cut separate deals with GFL. I think what this is saying is pick it up from everywhere.
exactly.
All sources, right?
We're supporting that.
So,
Oh,
I don't know.
one real problem is we've got so many private roads. People are so used to picking a small box, put it in their trunk, stop it off. Now this thing looks, it's big. Unless you got a pickup truck, you want to leave your killer, you can get it in the back of your whatever, but it's a normal car. How the heck do you transport it? That's, I'm getting phone calls about that already.
So I just make a comment. We're coming to the roads meeting coming up in 2 weeks. And I had a discussion with other mayors and other municipalities. And then strangely enough, the one from Chisholm basically had the issue at the beginning, but they started calling that number and started getting involved. Their unmaintained roads, they can go back and put the blue boxes on those roads only.
Oh,
Anywhere where people can actually walk down the driveway and put them up, that's what they're doing.
okay, because that's concern most people.
So here's the other issue I was talking to Mayor Mary today, and she says, oh, I don't know nothing about that. We bring all our recyclables to the landfill site and that's where they take care of it. I said, well, under my understanding, you're gonna be getting boxes coming up in September.
I asked her that too, and she had no clue.
She had no clue.
She had no clue.
See, but Bonfield didn't have.
They don't have
Collection. Well, I think you're made the same, like once you're getting the same service.
The thing is too is, and you're going down the right path there. That truck that picks up those boxes, it's only one style of truck. So there's no other option to pick up.
Well, that's what I talked to her. She said, she's gonna make some phone calls today and find out. She says, I never heard of this. So that's what our municipality is not coming to. That's what already Chisholm is doing and also Callender. So I can't see how she's gonna exempt from this. And then it's all GFL that's picking it up. There's no other, I think they had Miller Waste, I think, picking them up there.
They go to the landfill, pick it up the Nimbin though.
Exactly.
Like even if you go and we look at, say, the Fresh Mart,
That's a business.
yeah,
That's separate.
I know. So what if they get into that agreement? Where they're gonna have a lineup of these blue boxes? I could see this turning into a real show in the wintertime.
So that will extend this, we're hoping to have GFL come out. We're gonna talk about this.
Because you have one style of a truck.
Yeah. They're gonna have
Any
to.
problems here?
Well, that's why everybody's on the same issues.
Yeah.
Managers, mayor I speak to, that they all have the same problem. So. I mean to go there, but we,
Oh, yeah, it's good touch.
yeah, at least we, you know, we're on the right track and it's gonna be a big discussion we're gonna have for the roads. Yeah, Nick, we've already been talking about it. So.
If I may add something, Mayor Champagne, our thoughts were is here with the issues on the surrounding communities. What we've been told is that if someone has an issue, to deal one-on-one with GFL.
Oh, yeah.
So you're almost leaving a resident fend for themselves. What our thoughts are is to put something together before we transition September 1st to say, this is what we want without our residents having to make phone calls and that. So for wherever the issues are, we can tell GFL right away, say, these are the issues we're hearing. They're not all that different than our roads. We need to rectify this before the transition date and get something, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of our thoughts as we were talking before our roads meeting comes. So.
And mover and a seconder to support this resolution.
Sure. Let's eat this one.
That the Council of the Municipality of East Ferris supports the municipality of Tweed in their request that the province amend the Ontario Regulation 39121 blue boxes so that producers are responsible for the end of life management of recycling products from all sources. Further, that this resolution be forwarded to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Todd McCarthy, Minister of the Environment, Conservation, and the Environment, oh my goodness, the Honorable Vic Fideli, MPP for the municipality, or for the District of Nipissing. Wow, that's a tough.
So. In saying that, it should go back to the committee, to the Public Works. And the layout of how this is going to be deployed.
But this is what this resolution is about, though.
I know, I'm adding on to what bigger picture here is this should go back to the Public Works Committee and get a proper, how this is gonna get laid, how this is gonna look, how this is gonna taste, how this is gonna.
This is what we're doing.
I know, but you know what, we're not getting the full facts here. And I mean, a little more evidence here, how this is actually gonna work. So.
Well, I'm gonna be,
Hey, my name's on it, so you know what? Telling you, put it back to the community and come back with some more information with regard to this, how this is actually gonna roll.
actually, I was looking at someone being Tweed this weekend, so
Yeah.
he asking some questions there also, so. Okay, any other discussion? Favors read, carried. Deputy Mayor.
Just, do we think D is an issue? 13D is floating accommodation. So I've heard about Tim Hortons floating accommodations down in Huntsville. And then people, and it's an issue in the Muskokas where people will have like a floating accommodation and then park on outside of people's property, right?
I agree with you 100%. There's a few of them on Throat Lake. And they're just on their shoreline. In the wintertime, they come up, so they're floatable. It doesn't fall under our building code.
Right.
Or the North Bay building code. So they're allowed to have these structures. Basically, it's a boathouse with an upstairs and party place, and they just float it out there and you can dive off it whenever it's not being used in the wintertime. They float it in. So that's gonna be a lot more of that coming up, I believe. I agree with you 100% on that.
Well, and some of these in that position paper, you know, you've got a raft with a sea can on it kind of thing that they, so it's outside of our, but I guess this is sort of saying,
For the province, we should have our jurisdiction in that area. Because even if right now, anything from 66 feet out belongs to the MNR. Basically, they got jurisdiction on that. Then after that, it's the Mattawa Conservation Authority. I guess they're asking, is the Ministry of Natural Resources going to get involved in this or not? And that's what we're asking. They should get involved and have the municipality given the power to yea or nay this, that's all. I believe that's what they're asking. I have no problem with it.
No, it was received for information purposes by their municipality, so I did not create a resolution for us for support.
that's right.
If you'd like to pass one, we can certainly write one out, but because they only received it for information, they weren't necessarily asking for support.
I put for circulation only. I guess, is it something we want to
We'd have to start
assess over time or just, you know, have?
maybe it's one of these conversations with the Conservation Authority
Right.
there and say, maybe they'll back it, right?
Right.
Maybe it's something to bring through them. There'd be more bite into it than just our municipality, I would say. Okay. It's gone. Anybody else have anything else? I think there's only one item left, which is Prince Edward Disability and Without Poverty.
And we just passed something similar to that.
Yeah, it was last meeting.
Yep,
So,
it's ongoing.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, mover and a seconder to approve the correspondence, please.
Sure.
Councillor Kelly and Deputy Mayor Royackers, that council approve the correspondence and info that's circulated with the agenda of July 8th, 2025.
Favor? Carried. People of accounts payable.
Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Brazel. Deputy Mayor Royackers. That council approve the general accounts for the municipality of East Ferris as indicated in the check register dated July 8th, 2025 in the amount of $1,084,442.64.
All in favor? Business, terms of reference, boards and committee discussion, Parks and Recreation Culture Committee mandate. Just more for discussion than anything else. What is exactly the end value for the Parks and Rec Committee? Is it Parks and Rec stuff? Is it their mandate to go beyond that as far as culture committees and everything else? Or should they be involved more in our, our carnival, our Canada Day parades, or other things that we have in our municipality? Should they not be guided more towards that?
So let me have my first meeting. And I've talked to staff about it. So let me talk to the committee members also, and we're actually kind of been going that way a little bit too. So till we recognize the interests that we can do in the municipality and which ones that we're gonna partake and be involved in, and then we can bring that forward back, and then we'll have discussion on that and move forward, I guess. So
Yeah, we're just looking at stuff like even with the Canada Day thing that happened and all that kind of stuff. How do we get that out to the people? It should be part of a committee or a subcommittee of this Parks and Rec, or where we go. So I'm glad that you're going to bring it up, but I mean, keep us in the loop. But I mean, that's the reason why I'm bringing it forward now. So it seems like the wheels are spinning, but nothing is really happening.
like I said, I haven't even had a meeting yet. So let me have the meeting first and sit down with the committee members and we'll chat about it and bring it back and
Okay.
the interests are. Go from there.
Perfect.
Easy peasy.
Daycare discussion, Mayor Champagne and Deputy Mayor Roy. Just mostly for discussion again. Had a meeting with the YMCA.
Okay.
And get more information in. We're looking at, we had Maple View School. We went and looked at it, what their daycare is. We did a walk around. We talked to one of the assistant managers. Had a clear view of what they were looking for type thing. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. And we start running some numbers and to build a new place with the numbers that they're giving us, it's not really feasible. But there's other options out there, and that's what we're looking into right now. They're going to get back to us, the manager with the Y. DSAB is going to find out exactly what they're willing to come to the table with. Like right now, can I throw the number out there, what they're looking at right now? Just the 3,000 one.
yeah, that's just an average.
Just an average, they're looking at, supplying $3,000 a month, which is fine as a school because they're also doing janitorial stuff and everything else through the school. If we're gonna do it on our own, all that stuff is all cost plus, right? Yep. So we need to know on a square footage building, what it's gonna cost us to run it. And then what they're willing to pay to get it done. On a new building, it looks like it's gonna be iffy if that's gonna happen, but on an older building renovation, well, going through DSAT. Again, so we're meeting again this week, hopefully, or I think it's by Zoom, gonna be the next meeting. And see what the bottom dollar is gonna come from yourself or DSAP or what's gonna happen. Or what, right now, the money's coming from DSAP at $3,000 a month. We're not exactly sure what that consists of. That's just a number that was thrown at us, so. We just need to know what it's gonna cost us exactly to run this. Obviously, the need is there. Obviously, they've got the staff to do it, which is a good thing. And, you're looking at, between 25 and 26 kids is what they were looking at. So the size of that building. We may have to go down to 20 kids to be affordable, but at least it's a start. So that's where we're at so far. So any more discussion? Yep.
So what I'm hearing from you is YMCA has staff. Because in the report from DSAB, staffing is a huge issue. There is a wait list at St. Thomas, right, for, and maybe YMCA doesn't have French speaking ECEs that would come out, but like there's space there. They just need staff there. So, and I don't know about Fairspine.
My last discussion with DSAP, so the one at the French school is ran by Les Compagnons.
Right, okay,
So they're like a Y, they're an operator.
okay,
They won't mix staff, but the Y has told us they've not had an issue with retaining staff and having staff. Ferris Glen though is a different board. I believe it's like the West Ferris Family
Or
Resource Board or something like that. That's the operator of the daycare. My last discussion with DSAB is that both daycares weren't at capacity because they're lacking staff. I believe the numbers were we could have 6 more kids at both locations. You need about a staff member or an REC to manage 6 kids, I believe is what the figure is. So they each need staff. A bit of a concern for me was that, we have a wait list in Nipissing District of 1,500 kids, and we have 2 daycares in town here that could take 12 more kids total and the staff. So I said, I've not seen job ads that they're looking for staff at these daycares. What's going on, right? I'll leave it at that.
okay.
But here we have 12 kids in East Ferris that don't have daycare because of staffing. And the Y says they have no staffing issues for
Right.
themselves. There's something going on locally in terms of retention or recruitment, right? Like, to me, it's sad that we've got 12 kids that could be in the daycare system here, and they're lacking staff. But I've not seen job ads or job fairs or anything.
But having heard from Harvard, basically, is that they have a good competitive rate and they pay dental, they pay all those.
They got benefits.
Got benefits, so I think that might be the difference in the two. And that's why they say they don't have an issue with staff. In fact, as soon as they find somebody to work, they find work for them right away. So they don't think it's gonna be an issue for them. But again, they're gonna have to guarantee it, that's all. That's gonna be guaranteed at the end of the day. So it's all stuff that we need to find out.
Good.
Okay, and again, we talk about it almost every day about it, so as soon as we get more information, we'll have it out. You don't have to call a special meeting when we find out. Even looking at, even today, we're talking about even a building or a house that's for sale, that's comparable, that could be a daycare. Well, if DSAB has got the money for a renovation, well, that might be the way to go. Instead of spending $2.5 million on building a building, you might be able to buy a house for 400,000 or 500,000, getting the money from DSAB for renovation that's on a flat lot where there's water and everything else. Sufficient water for a daycare. Potable water and.
Because past discussions with DSAP, there's no money for new builds.
Right.
That's the issue for
Right.
capital, right? But they have a pocket of money for renovating vacant facilities or renovating space to make it suitable for daycare. So that's what the thought is, I ran the figures on a $2.5 million building, $15,000 mortgage a month. Well, if the rent available is 3, are we subsidizing for 12 grand a month? That's heavy. It doesn't seem like a doable unless you reduce your 2.5 million to, okay, we'll build something smaller, and instead of a capacity of, 50 kids, we have a capacity of 15, right? But you build a house now, when I ran the figures, $3,000 mortgage was representative of, I think, about a $700,000 house or something like that. Like, you can't build a daycare for $700,000. So that's where we're running into. This looks like a total subsidization. You buy a home and DSAP to put money into renovating. Well, then once that's ready to go, the 3,000 might make sense in terms of what we do have to fund. It might net to 0. Like, maybe it makes sense at that time, right? So.
Yeah, it'd have to be a special house. Like, I built a daycare down in Seaforth, right? And You have to have a kitchen at a certain rate, so like,
Well, all houses have kitchens, right?
right? They do, but they're not designed industrially or institutionally. It's a.
And that would be
it's a-
rental money from DSAT to bring, there's a lot of standards, like
Right.
the ministry's got, like, here's what you need to do to build a daycare.
Right,
You need play space outside, you need X amount of square foot per kid inside the building. You need, like, the one we toured was a washroom for every room. So there was an infant room with a washroom, a toddler room with a washroom. I think the other ones were not school age kids, but anyway, they each had a washroom. That daycare space had 6 washrooms. For what was there, and then you've gotta have the kitchen. They need an office kind of space and meeting space that if parents come in, they gotta sit with them and that. There's lots to look at. So yes, if there was a home that needed something done to it, like capital wise, it's like, to me, it seems to be one of the only
There'd be a whole gut,
options.
because you're at a accessibility. You know, if you had a one kid, or if you don't, but you guys still think about it. Disabilities, et cetera. You haven't even talked about cleaning yet. You haven't talked about the outside. You haven't, holy moly.
Yeah. We know the one that we did tour, like whatever their rent is, leases per month, but their janitorial is done by the school because it's in a school.
Yeah, that's-
They have
that works.
work service agreements with them. So the school is subsidizing in a way, I guess, or assisting in that way.
and the church in Astorville, that would not be,
We've talked about it.
no, I know, and I'm hesitating to say it because it's not really, but I just sort of.
But again, it's one of these that we talked about because the roof is bad on it. The section of why they're not using the church anymore is because in order to save that church for anything else, you'd have to lower the ceiling because that's where all the heat goes. So if you're gonna start a daycare, that means you'd have to put a false ceiling in, fix the roof, put a false ceiling in, but maybe it's big enough at that time. We've been hashing that part out.
Not much problem back either.
No. But the thing is, again, you gotta look out for parking too, like coming in, dropping off the kids and all that kind of stuff. So we are looking at, I even, we talked to the person across the road and talked to Jim. He was interested in it, but now he said, no, I'm not, I'm just gonna rent apartments. So he said, just follow under his guideline that he wants it for. So that one fell out. So again, we're hammering every day, talking about things, and hopefully we'll bring something to fruition. And I think it's very important. We know we need it. We just gotta make sure that it's not gonna cost our taxpayers a bunch of money to run a daycare.
Right.
I know it's needed, but we need to, we don't mind doing a little bit, but that's just, I think, a little extreme at this time. So we're still looking into it and see what other options are out there. And again, I gotta talk to D7 and see exactly what they're gonna put into the equation, so. And that's where you're gonna come in, Terry, so.
Yeah, well, we've been hammering away, and I say we, the former mayor and I myself as well. We've been underlining the fact that what East Terrace is paying D7 and getting very little for it. They have very, very little involvement in East Terrace for the money that they're receiving and have been receiving for years. It'd be nice to have something that we could point to and say, here's where D7 has really helped out. And I think they're there, quite frankly. They've been receptive, just a matter of getting an opportunity to step forward and get involved.
But again, piggybacking with the Y, I think is probably the best way to go because they're taking care of everything. So, except for the building itself. So,
Y is the largest child care provider in Canada. I know I was in the select at the last. And they send you on a course for it, and that's why some of the rates are so high because they subsidize their daycare system. But it's phenomenal.
well, it's great. It's a great place. Like we walked through it and it was unbelievable. The amount of kids they had there and coming out to play and outside. And
Out of debit.
it's like Fort Knox in there, which it should be. But
Yep, no, it should be, yep.
so any other discussion?
I think we're on the right track because and we all know there's a need for it.
And I know our next meeting is not until next month, but if anything comes up, we'll be sending out an email and let you know where we're at, what we find out in the meantime. Just to keep in the loop.
Meantime, I'll work behind the scenes as I always do.
Yeah. That's it for me. In camera? Nope. Complementary bylaw.
Brenda seconder, please. This is Councilor Trahan, Councilor Kelly. Whereas council for the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council from June 10th, 2025 to July 8th, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time, passed on number 2025-37, and that this bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Discussion on the motion? All favors read? Carried. Adjournment.
Brenda secretary, please. Mr. Brazo and Rinker. That we do now adjourn at 7:12 PM and meet again on August 12th, 2025.
All in favor?